And tēnā koutou katoa, ko Elisa toku ingoa. I am Elisa. I had been teaching for over 20 years, and as teachers we try to implement hands-on inquiry-based learning. We search for safe websites for our students to use. We make up activities over the holidays for our students of all different age groups, well, not all, necessarily all different age groups, but all different learning abilities. And we try and find a hook to excite and engage our learners. This term I started working full-time with Yachting New Zealand as their education lead, as I was intrigued by RUNA. What is RUNA? So for those of you who haven't seen RUNA before or heard of RUNA, RUNA is Yachting New Zealand's school engagement framework. It has been created in conjunction with Sport New Zealand and the Ministry of Education, with the input of teachers from our pilot club in Wellington. RUNA means to steer, and the aim of the framework is to support kids to learn from the past in order to steer towards a sustainable future. Follow Your Star refers to our ancestors who will provide a guide for kids as they navigate their learning journeys. The Waka Holder references our seafaring traditions, with both the tangata whenua and Tauranga following the same star paths in their voyages to this land. So the RUNA module includes quality play, active recreation and sport experiences at local sailing clubs, like this one, which are designed to help kids develop their water skills for life and safer boating skills in authentic contexts. These experiences draw on skills from the Water Safety New Zealand and the Maritime New Zealand framework, and not only help Kiwi kids to be more active in and around the sea, but will also help to reduce instances of drowning across Aotearoa. So a good example of this, I have 3 children. As they went through primary school, they did their water safety program, they learnt to swim. Once they'd finished learning how to swim, then they started learning in the deep pool. They learnt how to put life jackets on, going in and out of a boat, what happens if you're to capsize, how you can rescue someone, all these great things to help them when they're out in the water. Here is our RUNA curriculum, and as I was mentioning before, it has been developed with the help of Sport New Zealand and the Ministry of Education. So it utilises the understand, know and do approach with curriculum design. So kids use processes combined with skills to acquire their knowledge. They then take this knowledge and use their key competences to help address challenges faced by society and contribute to outcomes that have a positive impact for their community. RUNA has 3 modules at this stage. The first module is called Koreno Reno, Our Ancestors' Wake. This module involves kids researching the history of the settlement of Aotearoa. Who is a tangata whenua in their place? How did they get there? And when did they get there? When did Tauranga start to arrive in their place? Where did they come from? And how did they get there? What were the interactions between them when they first met? And how has this shaped place into what there is today? So it's really a localised curriculum because we are looking at each club and each part throughout New Zealand. Yachting New Zealand has free resources online. This is for both the teachers and the students to use. These are an example of the teacher guides that get sent out once the teachers have registered. And I must stress how important the registration is for people like myself and at Yachting New Zealand, because it just shows the engagement that's been taking place, as well as help us to connect any interested schools to their local yachting club for a sailing experience. Each module has 5 main parts. Number 1 is a challenge. Number 2, a video, painting or reading to set the scene. Number 3, classroom experiences. So this could be comprehension activities, there are discussions, video tutorials, and hands-on activities. Number 4 is the option of a sailing experience. You can see a school out there having a sailing experience there today. And number 5 is a take action piece, which is really important so that kids feel that they're taking control of their learning. Here you can see that the classroom experiences have been split into 3 sets. Finding our way, tangata whenua meets tauiwi, and our Tauranga waiwai. These each have 4 planned classroom experiences or lessons. The sailing experience for Kurena Reno gives the students an opportunity to imagine what it would be like to voyage and navigate their own way to a new land. It develops water confidence as they are instructed by qualified sailing coaches or instructors, and who are all too familiar with the sailing place or the sailing area. Students also get an opportunity to do land-based activities. At the Sailing or Yacht Club, the students learn how to navigate using the Māori star, compass, or the kapetu whetu. They compare this compass to the European variety and can see some similarities and some differences between them. This in itself gets students exploring how and why people design tools to help them navigate. So you can see here, this is the kapetu whetu, the star compass. And you can see, if you look carefully, the differences with, instead of, south-southeast, they've got Ra, Ra meaning sun, all right, following the sun as it goes up and over, and you can see the same again on the other side, over there. So this picture here is taken of our pilot club down in Wellington. They put their learning into action as they conduct a treasure hunt game around the club, starting from a central place at this club. So once the students are familiar with the Māori star compass, they then can use it to do a treasure hunt. So each club around New Zealand gets a localised treasure hunt with their club. And the information from it, I'll talk about in just a second. So this is, because it's localised, I get people from the community, whether it be the club, iwi, hapu teachers, and they work with myself to come up with this resource. So here is an example from Wersa Bay, which is our pilot club down in Wellington. So a sheet like the one on the left gives the students clues and questions to find the answers to. The sheet on the right is laminated and hiding around the club's general area. The clue for the question is whakaroro nario, so which is the direction, and the people sit on me, which is the clue, which narrows down the search area. This particular one is actually found under a park bench. So the students have to look around and look over and under in order to find what they're looking for. Our second module was actually created first and it's called Kokokaha, Powered by the Wind. This module involves students researching the impact of climate change and what might be done to stop it. Kids explore how the wind works, how it can be harnessed to generate power, and they undertake a range of hands-on experiences to get familiar with the technology development process before designing a technology of their own to harness the power of the wind. The Kokokaha module was developed during the last America's Cup back in 2021. The mission for the students was to design a technology to harness the power of the wind. The next few pages are once again the teacher guides that get sent out after they have registered. It is just a guide of how to use the website and for them to see the options available for them in a quick glance. So here we have Elise Beavis, engineer of Emirates Team New Zealand, explaining how the team designs, tests and refines new ideas. She helps to set the scene for the students. and show them that it's okay to make a mistake as long as we learn from them. All these videos can be seen on our website, and I'll show you one of those in a moment. Okay, but it's quite interesting because a lot of kids who haven't grown up by the water or know much about sailing are quite interested with how the design process takes place and how the boats have changed over time. The classroom learning experiences give the students knowledge on how to read the wind, what they can do by harnessing the wind, and teaches them some of the science and technology around boat making. Once again, the students have an opportunity to have a sailing day. This time they are harnessing the power of the wind, putting their gained knowledge from the classroom activities into practice. Hands up who here has sailed before? Obviously, hopefully those people from the club. All right. So hands up who has learned to ride a bike before? Okay. Can you remember that moment when you managed to actually ride the bike for the first time? That exhilaration, that excitement. That is the same exhilaration and excitement that the students get when you see them out on the water and grasping the idea of what they're actually having to do. The last step for kokakaha is the students to take action. So once the students have learned all they need to know about the wind, and their mission is to design a technology to harness the power of the wind. So this could be a wind sculpture, it could be the wind to power something up, or innovation to make a yacht sail faster. I think there was just a movie recently about from somewhere in Africa, a tribe that was starting to... How to Harness the Wind, was it? Yeah. Excellent. I haven't watched that one yet, but I'm definitely keen to watch it these holidays. So our kokakaha kits we have available for us, and we're going to have a look at those later on outside. We have split them, they're split up into 4 different activities. They come with teacher guides with each of them so that you can just follow it through. So last Friday I was helping a club with their on-shore activities, the kokakaha kit, and it was really easy to follow. You have discussions you have with the students to find their prior knowledge, you have hands-on activities as well as information there to read to the children of what they're doing. So we have pulley systems, we have floating and sinking kind of activities, we have how to tie knots, and we also have the materials, so the kids can see the different materials. I don't know who watched the news last night seeing that the Māori, a sail that was made out of flax has just come back to New Zealand for a time. It looks amazing. It has feathers on it and it shows how they weaved the sail together. So yeah, might be something that we included our kits for another time. But we'll definitely have a hands-on go later on after I've finished talking about our third module. So Moana Mana is our New Zealand blue belt. So this is our third module, and this is us trying to build a blue belt all around New Zealand using all the sailing clubs. In this module, kids research the impact of pollution, climate change and overfishing on the marine ecosystems. They then take a lead role as a citizen scientist, helping them to establish New Zealand blue belt sites in partnership with their local sailing club and their community, including the iwi and hapu in the area. When established, as I was saying, we're hoping to have a network of blue belt sites around New Zealand, which is equivalent of a predator-free New Zealand, and will play an important role in restoring the mana to our moana. Oyster Bay Boating Club in Wellington, as we were saying, is our pilot club, and a map of it there, those are all the local schools that are taking place and joined with the sailing club for the Moana Mana, as well as the other 2 modules. And I'm going to talk to you about some of the activities that they have done as part of their Moana Mana project. last I looked, they had 12 schools that are combining together to with the sailing club to do these activities, which is amazing. So let's have a look at what they have done. So the highlighted area here had students from the Kura Kaupapa Māori on Mokopuna, and with the help of the organisation Mountains to the Sea Wellington, they established a kelp forest. The students noticed that there wasn't much seaweed, and their project was to help plant some. The school's plan is to come back and to continue to monitor the growth of the kelp with the possibility of planting more in other areas. This area here is from the Wellington High School students have created an underwater art gallery habitat for various species. Their plan was not only to bring back more species into the area, but also to encourage people to look and not take away from the sea life in the area there. Here we have Wellington East Girls College. They have created a paua nursery. Once again, noticing that people are taking and not giving back to the bay. The powerful thing about this is that when the students are creating these sites and helping to show that they are wanting to preserve them, they actually end up teaching the community, and they teach their parents of things that they need to either be doing or not doing. So it's a powerful education tool, not just for the students, but the whole community. And here we have Warsaw Bay Primary and Seaton Schools. They've designed a habitat for the anemones in the hope to reintroduce the species back to the shoreline. So I don't know about you guys, but I was away from New Zealand for about 15 years. When I came back with my children, I'd take them down to the local beach where I used to grow up. I was hoping to show them the anemones and all the sea creatures and the rock pools at my local beach, and it wasn't there. It was brown, and there wasn't much to show the kids. They might be able to lift up a rock and find some crabs. There was definitely kina there, but there wasn't much greenery or life there. So this is something that I started becoming passionate about, and hence why when this job came up, I was like, I could do something here to help preserve our coastline. So here we have a few photos of some of the students doing their moana mana. We have the top corner there, they're doing the marine metre squared. So they have to write down all the critters that they can find within that metre squared area. They're doing data analysis, all that kind of stuff. Own science, looking, observing, what do you notice? And you can see here we have snorkeling going on so they can see what is in the water. So it's not just about sailing on the water, we're looking at what is underneath and preserving that for the future generations as well.
But can I just say that Warsaw Bay are working with a snorkeling
yes.
group who run the snorkeling in conjunction with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So would you like to see Tauranga Yacht and Boating Club become your local education hub? I know it's something that we're passionate about at Yachting New Zealand to create throughout New Zealand. We're currently helping a club up in Auckland get started, and I was recently down in Nelson as well, getting them started on this journey. As I was saying the other week, I was up at the club up in Auckland, and I could see the students. Some of them were really nervous because some of them could only just swim. And we're saying, okay, you've got these life jackets, you're going to be fine. You can see how, they're kind of a bit tense. You don't know how much of the information they're getting in because they're looking around. It's all new to them. You get them out in the water, there's some squeals and some, I don't know what to do. But they're out there and giving it a go. Then asking them questions when they come back onto shore. And their faces are just all lit up. And they've had such a great time. One of the boys who was a bit hesitant at the beginning, I asked him at the end, so how did you feel? And he was one of the ones who got pretty confident out there. And luckily, due to there not being too much wind, they had the opportunity to capsize. And so he he just loved that. It was such a hot day and he kept capsizing the boats and learning to get back onto it. So his comment to me at the end of the day was, I felt like I was on the Titanic, which I thought was very cute. So I love seeing the kids and I love seeing them grow. I love seeing them learn, hence why I was a teacher for over 20 years. So getting them to become more confident in their area and having another place for them to come and feel like they belong, I think is really important. So I believe in this program and how it can bring a community together and how it is reigniting the youth's passion for the moana. This part of the this module, the Moana Mana piece, is another great one, as I was saying, to bring communities together because we actually connect with other organisations, and it was, as Kelly was saying, with the snorkeling, with Marine Metre Squared, a lot of different organisations that I've been grateful to get connected with over the last couple of months.
Kia ora, my name's Raynor, and today we're going to show you some of the things that you get to do on the water as part of the sailing experience with RUNA.
We're going to chuck you guys in some warm gear. And you'll need a life jacket as well.
The sailing experiences will be delivered by Yachting and Boating Club, supported by Yachting New Zealand. The club will be in touch prior to your arrival to explain how the experience will run, the sorts of things students will need to bring,
Grab a helmet.
and to complete the risk and safety management plan with you. The main thing to know is life jackets will be provided, but your students will need to bring a change of clothes suitable to sail and get wet in. You don't need to know anything about sailing, as the instructors will also explain how the boats work prior to getting on the water.
What is our rudder control, this thing here? The turning, awesome. So it's your steering. So it's sort of like your steering wheel in your car. And then the other person sitting in the boat is going to be holding the main sheet.
RUNA has been designed so the sailing experience complements the work the students do in the classroom. In the case of Kokakaha, the sailing experience is about feeling the power of the wind. And with Korino Reno, it's about feeling what it's like to be a navigator.
And you're going to use your own star compass to find some information. So I've hidden it around outside.
It's likely one group of students will do some onshore activities, while another group goes sailing. These onshore activities are designed to be led by the teacher.
Oh, I did it!
In the case of Kokakaha, the activities focus on the science and technology involved in sailing, while in Korino Reno, the activities focus on learning about Ka Pehu Whetū, the Māori star compass. Your club will work with you on how these are going to be delivered, and will make sure the activities are set up and ready to go on the day.
Sky.
Today we're at the Royal Akarana Yacht Club with a group of students from Royal Oak Primary School. Let's go and see how they get on.
Remember, the boat is moving a little bit, so you want to keep your balance.
Wait, which side should I go? Hi!
Not many of them have been sailing before, especially not in small boats like this, doing it themselves.
Steer, Sophia! Steer! You're steering that way. Exactly.
It's just an amazing opportunity to actually take what you're doing in the classroom. So the theory approach of your science and your social sciences that you might be covering, and being able to do it out on the water in a practical sense. It just really cements their learning and makes it so much more practical and real for them.
There might be a small cost involved for each participant in the sailing experiences, and this will be worked out with your club. They might also be able to assist you with sourcing funding to help meet some or all of these costs. As your students will have been learning, sailing is weather dependent, so your club will make a decision on whether it's safe to go out on the water. Safety is their priority, and they are experienced in knowing when the conditions are unsafe. They will discuss with you alternative activities for the day, or even another sailing day if the on-water component has to be cancelled.
Yeah, it's great. Just that it's on the water and you can have fun with it and stuff. I think like going the speeds and like how the directions work and how like everything works. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
I'd say definitely give it a go, because it's integrating things like your New Zealand histories. They're doing things with navigation, so you can bring in science, you can bring in your social sciences as well. as well as your EOTC, your education outside the classroom. So it's actually ticking a lot of boxes. So definitely well worth it.
As you can see, you can have lots of fun on the water, just like the kids from Royal Oak Primary School had today. I can't wait to see you guys out here soon.
So as I was mentioning before, I'm hoping to get the Koreno Reno up and running for term 1 next year. That's looking at the history, so I'm definitely happy to hear from any of you if you're happy to help me understand what the local history of this area is. Generally what we do is we have Braden or people at the club here will look at where their central point is, and they'll decide where things will get hidden, and they will map that out. Then I work with the teachers or the iwi or the hapu, and we figure out some questions and answers, and then I'll put them together and create a pack and send it down to the club to use. So yeah, so that's one of the things. Register for RUNA online, please. Have a look at the activities that are on there, the videos. Book your school in for a sailing experience. I think there's definitely some, it's getting a bit late in the term, but if you're wanting an end of the year one or beginning of the year, please see Braden to book that in. If you know someone who might be interested in an organisation that might be interested in jumping on board with us and helping to provide funding for our RUNA experience for the local community, that would be amazing. Either get in touch with myself or Braden or the club. And yeah, I know this was very late, short notice organisation of this meeting, but I just wanted to make people aware and get people starting to book up for next term. And I'm happy to come down again in January or February to talk to schools or the kahuiako in the area if they're interested. So thank you for coming today, and if you have any other questions or queries, feel free to ask. Yeah.
Question?
Yes.
What is the geography Yachting New Zealand sees being covered by Tauranga Yacht Club who live in there? Because I notice we have interest in schools as far afield as Tauranga. Correct. Yeah. I mean, and Rotorua is 50 minutes away. I'm just wondering what's your view of.
Great question. Obviously, if people are wanting to come to the area, that's great. We're wanting I think the idea from Yachting New Zealand is that we're hoping that through this experience, the local schools will become more familiar with the club, and then hopefully want to become members of the club and have this as another home for them to come to and feel comfortable here. So we're looking long term at creating future sailors for New Zealand. We're looking, I know with the Olympics coming up, we're just talking in the car about how future Olympics are looking at making sure that they've got 50-50 female and male officials. And I know that in New Zealand with yachting that we've only got about 20% female at this stage, so we're wanting to increase the number of women sailing, so as well as increase the diversity of cultures that are out there sailing. So yeah, if other schools are wanting to come and wanting to pay for the travel to come here, that's fine. We've started off with 5 what we call tier 1 clubs, and they're the ones that are starting with the Kokakaha, and they're getting more the Koreno Reno up and running this year. Tauranga at this stage is a tier 2 club, which so Koreno Reno we're going to implement next year, as well as hopefully at the end of the year the Moana Mana. Ideally, and I know some clubs are very small, ideally would like to see all of the clubs around New Zealand become a RUNA club, as we're saying with the Moana Mana piece, so we can create that blue belt around New Zealand. But we understand that this is a non-for-property, this is a club that is, all clubs are just made up of people who, volunteers, thank you, that's the word, are volunteers. So having to have the people and man the operation of RUNA, we understand is not possible for all clubs. So as long as people are happy to come here, that's fine. If there's a local club to, Taupo that might want to start it up, then obviously they're free to as well. So.
Club hat on here. I was just talking to Rand about it earlier. So we want to put like as many kids through this have a go sailing experience as possible through RUNA. I think it's an amazing program. The club's working really hard to make sure that that is not the last, it's not the first and last sailing experience. We want to pull as many of these kids through to the next level, to learn to sail, to racing, and we're looking at all avenues for doing that. It obviously requires money. We don't want kids not going sailing because they can't afford it, so we're working really hard on how we can solve that problem. And having, I don't know, 10, 15% of kids continuing sailing who go through this RUNA program, that would be a great outcome. So don't think it's just one and done. We want continuous.
And that's the thing, originally they had the have a go trailers that went around New Zealand, so that anyone anywhere in New Zealand could have a go at their local lake, river, but it wasn't connecting to the clubs, and we weren't actually, it was a one-off experience. So that's why we've created the sailing experience for both the Kokokaha as well as a Koreno, and as well as bringing the people back for the moana mana and looking after their own moana or their own waters in that particular area. Because we're wanting to bring the community together. I know that's something that a lot of people are finding over the last few years, especially after COVID and everything, everyone's sticking to their own little bubble. We're wanting to bring people together. And yeah, definitely by doing this, we're hoping to bring more sailors into the mix as well.
Yeah, more people with sail for life.
Yeah.
Not just like they have one experience.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean they have to become professional sailors, although that would be awesome. It could just be.
The marine industry is so huge in New Zealand. Boat building, sail making, so many opportunities. And if you come down here and have get involved in the club, then you're exposed to those, right? You might not normally be.
And I think it's so important because New Zealand doesn't have a license to go out on a boat. I think it's really important that all our children and our community members learn the safety of being out there and the basics of what the rules are as they grow up. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So thank you very much for coming along and